Okay, let's drift off to sleep. Today you'll be listening and dozing off on a warm afternoon at Grandma and Grandpa's at Gull Harbor. Imagine for a second that you are lying down on a warm futon mattress at one end of a screened-in porch. The porch faces the harbor, the bay, and the ocean on the horizon. The mattress is nestled into a corner and is part of a cozy little reading nook prepared just for kids. There is a little bookshelf there full of comics, magazines, crosswords, and children's books. There are new books and worn-out books. The Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, books about dinosaurs and horses and sea life, and all kinds of stories about kids getting into summer adventures together. A blue plastic and white transistor radio sits next to a stack of puzzles and board games. A wooden box contains decks of playing cards, dice, jacks, and short little pencils that have been sharpened way too many times. Now, while imagining laying here, let's get nice and relaxed. First, close your eyes and just become aware of your breathing, feeling your chest gently rise and fall again. Next, we will try taking a few deeper breaths. First, filling your lungs with air, then holding it in for 2 or 3 seconds before gently exhaling and letting it all go. Ready? Breathe in deeply, hold for 3, 2, 1, and then exhale. One more time. Breathe in deeply, hold for 3, 2, 1, and exhale. And try thinking to yourself, as I lay here at Gull Harbor, I can feel gravity's pull tugging me gently back towards Earth. With every exhale, I can feel my feet, my ankles, calves, knees, and my legs becoming heavier and more relaxed. Now you can feel the cool, salty ocean air on your skin. It would almost be too cold if it wasn't for the wonderful afternoon sun shining down on you perfectly. The sunlight splatters through the screens and bathes your tanned legs and arms with a soothing warmth, almost as if Grandma has wrapped you up like a cocoon in one of her quilted blankets. Inside the house, the TV is on, and you can hear Grandma and Grandpa moving around after lunch.
Dr. James Whitcomb Brower. Brower, huh? It rhymes with B-R-O-W-E-R. Why do you have that G-H in there? To make it difficult for quizmasters? Yes. Is that what
You know that they too will soon be taking their afternoon nap in their rooms. But you've got the whole porch to yourself, and your belly feels nice and warm and perfectly satisfied. Today, Grandma made clam chowder and grilled cheese sandwiches. You enjoyed the hot soup and warm, soft cheese, and then you washed it down with a glass of fresh, cold milk. Now, try taking a few more deep breaths. First, filling your lungs with air, holding it there briefly before gently exhaling and letting it all go. Ready? Breathe in deeply, hold for 3, 2, 1, and then exhale. Try continuing on your own, and while doing this, try thinking to yourself, as I lay here, I can feel my body becoming heavier in the cool air and warm sunshine. With each exhale, I can feel my hands and arms and my torso becoming heavier and heavier and more relaxed. You pull out a random book from the bookshelf. This one is called Summer Friends, and on the cover is a picture of a little girl in a red dress with white polka dots. She's sitting in grass with flowers all about, and she's shaking the paw of a bunny rabbit while a white duck looks on and a little frog jumps through the air. You decide that you're just too sleepy to read right now, so you set the book down and lay back and think about the day. It's no wonder you're sleepy and tired. In the morning, after breakfast, Grandma rubbed coconut-scented sunscreen on your face and arms, and then Grandpa took you with him in the old rusty truck to the hardware store. There he drank coffee and laughed with old bearded men wearing high rubber boots. Then you went with him to the docks at the harbor, where he showed you the best place to buy fresh clams, crab, and fish. The docks were bustling with activity. Wooden boats creaked against the tide, fishermen shouted to one another, and the air was thick with the scent of salt water, fresh fish, and diesel. As you continue to breathe deeply and then exhale, try thinking to yourself, as I lay here, my whole body feels heavy and relaxed. With every exhale, I can feel gravity pulling me back towards Earth gently. I can feel my head, my shoulders, my neck becoming relaxed and at ease. And my legs are heavy and at peace with gravity's pull. Now my whole body, my legs and feet, my arms and hands, my torso, my head and neck and shoulders, my whole body is completely at peace, relaxed, and at ease. In the late morning, after coming back to the house with Grandpa, you had borrowed his binoculars and walked up Whalebone Hill, where you could see everything far and wide. The little town of Gull Harbor, the fishing boats and ships at sea, the car ferry full of tourists headed to the islands, the seagulls, and kids riding bikes and scooters along the streets below. Then, up on Whalebone Hill, you had finally flown your brand new kite, a beautiful purple kite with a long white tail. It climbed higher and higher and higher through the coastal winds, tugging on your tired arms like a heavy fish on the end of the line. But now, so drowsy, laying under the sun on the porch, after a long morning of adventures in the crisp, fresh coastal air, you pick up the transistor radio and dial into a random station.
In tonight's reading from the Journal of the First Voyage of Columbus, we follow the explorer through the final chapter of his journey, covering the days from Friday, January 4th to Thursday, February 14th.
And then you set the radio down, lay back, and close your eyes.
Spain, Columbus reflects on divine guidance, uncertain seas, and the meaning of all he has witnessed. These entries include moments of calm and sudden storms, of prayers offered, letters written, and signs seen in the stars. Journal of the First Voyage of Columbus. Friday, 4th of January. At sunrise, the Admiral weighed the anchor with little wind and turned her head northwest to get clear of the reef by another channel wider than the one by which he entered, which, with others, is very good for coming in front of the Villa de la Navidad, in all which the least depth is from 3 to 9 fathoms. These two channels run northwest and southeast, and the reefs are long, extending from the Cabo Santo to the Cabo de Sierpe for more than 6 leagues, and then a good 3 leagues out to sea. At a league outside Cabo Santo, there are not more than 8 fathoms of depth, and inside that cape, on the east side, there are many sunken rocks and channels to enter between them. All this coast trends northwest and southeast, and it is all beach, with the land very level for about a quarter of a league inland. After that distance, there are very high mountains, and the whole is peopled with a very good race, as they showed themselves to the Christians. Thus, the Admiral navigated to the east, shaping a course for a very high mountain, which looked like an island, but is not one, being joined to the mainland by a very low neck. The mountain has the shape of a very beautiful tent. He gave it the name of Monte Cristi. It is due east of Cabo Santo at a distance of 18 leagues. That day, owing to the light wind, they could not reach within 6 leagues of Monte Cristi. He discovered 4 very low and sandy islets with a reef extending northwest and southeast. Inside there is a large gulf, which extends from this mountain to the southeast at least 20 leagues. which must all be shallow with many sandbanks, and inside numerous rivers which are not navigable. At the same time, the sailor who was sent in the canoe to get tidings of the Pinta reported that he saw a river into which ships might enter. The admiral anchored at a distance of 6 leagues from Monte Cristi in 19 fathoms, and so kept clear of many rocks and reefs. Here he remained for the night. The admiral gives notice to those who would go to the Villa de la Navidad that to make Monte Cristi he should stand off the land 2 leagues, etc. But as the coast is now known, it is not given here. The admiral concluded that Chipango was in that island, and that it contained much gold, spices, mastic, and rhubarb. Saturday, 5th of January. At sunrise, the admiral made sail with the land breeze, and saw that to the south-southeast of Monte Cristi, between it and an island, there seemed to be a good port to anchor in that night. He shaped an east-southeast course, afterwards south-southeast for 6 leagues round the high land, and found a depth of 17 fathoms, with a very clean bottom, going on for 3 leagues with the same soundings. Afterwards it shallowed to 12 fathoms up to the promontory of the mountain, and off the promontory at 1 league the depth of 9 fathoms was found, the bottom clean and all fine sand. The admiral followed the same course until he came between the mountain and the island, where he found 3.5 fathoms at low water, a very good port, and here he anchored. He went in the boat to the islet, where he found remains of fire and footmarks, showing that fishermen had been there. Here they saw many stones painted in colors, or a quarry of such stones, very beautifully worked by nature, suited for the building of a church or other public work, like those he found on the island of San Salvador. On this islet he also found many plants of mastic. He says that this Monte Cristi is very fine and high, but accessible, and of a very beautiful shape, all the land round it being low, a very fine plain from which the height rises, looking at a distance like an island disunited from other land. Beyond the mountain, to the east, he saw a cape at a distance of 24 miles, which he named Cabo del Becerro, whence to the mountain for 2 leagues there are reefs of rocks, though it appeared as if there were navigable channels between them. It would, however, be advisable to approach in daylight and to send a boat ahead to sound. From the mountain eastward to Cabo del Becerro for 4 leagues there is a beach, and the land is low, but the rest is very high, with beautiful mountains and some cultivation. Inland a chain of mountains runs northeast and southwest, the most beautiful he had seen, appearing like the hills of Cordova. Some other very lofty mountains appear in the distance toward the south and southeast, and very extensive green valleys with large rivers. All this in such quantity that he did not believe he had exaggerated 1,000th part. Afterwards he saw, to the eastward of the mountain, a land which appeared like that of Monte Cristi in size and beauty. Further to the east and northeast there is land which is not so high, extending for some 100 miles or near it. Sunday, 6th of January. That port is sheltered from all winds, except north and northwest, and these winds seldom blow in this region. Even when the wind is from those quarters, shelter may be found near the islet in 3 or 4 fathoms. At sunrise the admiral made sail to proceed along the coast, the course being east, except that it is necessary to look out for several reefs of stone and sand, within which there are good anchorages with channels leading to them. After noon it blew fresh from the east. The admiral ordered a sailor to go to the masthead to look out for reefs, and he saw the caravel Pinta coming, with the wind aft, and she joined the admiral. As there was no place to anchor, owing to the rocky bottom, the admiral returned for 10 leagues to Monte Cristi, with the Pinta in company. Martin Alonso Pinzon came on board the caravel Nina, where the admiral was, and excused himself by saying that he had parted company against his will, giving reasons for it. But the admiral says that they were all false, and that on the night when Pinzon parted company, he was influenced by pride and covetousness. He could not understand whence had come the insolence and disloyalty, with which Pinzon had treated him during the voyage. The admiral had taken no notice because he did not wish to give place to the evil works of Satan, who desired to impede the voyage. It appeared that one of the Indians, who had been put on board the caravel by the admiral with others, had said that there was much gold in an island called Baneca, and as Pinzon's vessel was light and swift, he determined to go there, parting company with the admiral, who wished to remain and explore the coasts of Juana and Española with an easterly course. When Martin Alonso arrived at the island of Banec, he found no gold. He then went to the coast of Española on information from the Indians that there was a great quantity of gold and many mines in that island of Española, which the Indians call Bohio. He thus arrived near the Villa de Navidad, about 15 leagues from it, having then been absent more than 20 days, so that the news brought by the Indians was correct, on account of which the king Guacanagari sent a canoe, and the admiral put a sailor on board, but the Pinta must have gone before the canoe arrived. The admiral says that the Pinta obtained much gold by barter, receiving large pieces the size of 2 fingers in exchange for a needle. Martin Alonso took half, dividing the other half among the crew. The admiral then says, "Thus I am convinced that our Lord miraculously caused that vessel to remain here, this being the best place in the whole island to form a settlement, and the nearest to the gold mines." He also says that he knew of another great island to the south of the island of Juana, in which there is more gold than in this island, so that they collect it in bits the size of beans, while in Española they find the pieces the size of grains of wheat. They call that island Yamaye. The admiral also heard of an island further east, in which there were only women, having been told this by many people. He was also informed that Yamaye and the island of Española were 10 days' journey in a canoe from the mainland, which would be about 70 or 80 leagues, and that there the people wore clothes. Monday, 7th of January. This day the admiral took the opportunity of caulking the caravel, and the sailors were sent to cut wood. They found mastic and aloes in abundance. Tuesday, 8th of January. As the wind was blowing fresh from the east and southeast, the admiral did not get underway this morning. He ordered the caravel to be filled up with wood and water, and with all other necessaries for the voyage. He wished to explore all the coast of Española in this direction. But those he appointed to the caravels as captains were brothers, namely Martin Alonso Pinzon and Vicente Anes. They also had followers who were filled with pride and avarice, considering that all now belonged to them, and unmindful of the honor the admiral had done them. They had not and did not obey his orders, but did and said many unworthy things against him, while Martin Alonso had deserted him from the 21st of November until the 6th of January, without cause or reason, but from disaffection. All these things had been endured in silence by the admiral, in order to secure a good end to the voyage. He determined to return as quickly as possible, to get rid of such an evil company with whom he thought it necessary to dissimulate, although they were a mutinous set, and though he also had with him many good men, for it was not a fitting time for dealing out punishment. The admiral got into the boat and went up the river, which is near, toward the south-southwest of Monte Cristi, a good league. This is where the sailors went to get fresh water for the ships. He found that the sand at the mouth of the river, which is very large and deep, was full of very fine gold, and in astonishing quantity. The admiral thought that it was pulverized in the drift down the river, but in a short time he found many grains as large as lentils, while there was a great deal of the fine powder. As the fresh water mixed with the salt when it entered the sea, he ordered the boat to go up for the distance of a stone's throw. They filled the casks from the boat, and when they went back to the caravel, they found small bits of gold sticking to the hoops of the casks and of the barrel. The admiral gave the name of Rio del Oro to the river. Inside the bar it is very deep, though the mouth is shallow and very wide. The distance to the Villa de la Navidad is 17 leagues, and there are several large rivers on the intervening coast, especially 3 which probably contain much more gold than this one, because they are larger. This river is nearly the size of the Guadalquivir at Cordova, and from it to the gold mines the distance is not more than 20 leagues. The admiral further says that he did not care to take the sand containing gold because their highnesses would have it all as their property at their town of Navidad, and because his first object was now to bring the news and to get rid of the evil company that was with him, whom he had always said were a mutinous set. Wednesday, 9th of January. The admiral made sail at midnight with the wind southeast and shaped an east-northeast course, arriving at a point named Punta Roja, which is 60 miles east of Monte Cristi, and anchored under its lee 3 hours before nightfall. He did not venture to go out at night because there are many reefs until they are known. Afterwards, if, as will probably be the case, channels are found between them, the anchorage, which is good and well sheltered, will be profitable. The country between Monte Cristi and this point where the admiral anchored is very high land, with beautiful plains, the range running east and west, all green and cultivated with numerous streams of water, so that it is wonderful to see such beauty. In all this country there are many turtles, and the sailors took several when they came on shore to lay their eggs at Monte Cristi, as large as a great wooden buckler. On the previous day, when the admiral went to the Rio del Oro, he saw 3 mermaids which rose well out of the sea, but they are not so beautiful as they are painted, though to some extent they have the form of a human face. The admiral says that he had seen some at other times in Guinea on the coast of the Maniqueta. The admiral says that this night, in the name of our Lord, he would set out on his homeward voyage without any further delay whatever, for he had found what he sought, and he did not wish to have further cause of offense with Martin Alonso until their highnesses should know the news of the voyage and what had been done. Afterwards he says, "I will not suffer the deeds of evil-disposed persons with little worth, who, without respect for him to whom they owe their positions, presume to set up their own wills with little ceremony." Thursday, 10th of January. He departed from the place where he had anchored, and at sunset he reached a river, to which he gave the name of Rio de Gracia, 3 leagues to the southeast. He came to at the mouth where there is good anchorage on the east side. There is a bar with no more than 2 fathoms of water, and very narrow across the entrance. It is a good and well-sheltered port, except that there are many shipworms, owing to which the caravel Pinta, under Martin Alonso, received a good deal of damage. He had been here bartering for 16 days and got much gold, which was what Martin Alonso wanted. As soon as he heard from the Indians that the admiral was on the coast of the same island of Española, and that he could not avoid him, Pinzon came to him. He wanted all the people of the ship to swear that he had not been there more than 6 days, but his treachery was so public that it could not be concealed. He had made a law that half of all the gold that was collected was his. When he left this port, he took 4 men and 2 girls by force, but the admiral ordered that they should be clothed and put on shore to return to their homes. This, the admiral says, is a service of your highnesses. For all the men and women are subjects of your highnesses, as well in this island as in the others. Here, where your highnesses already have a settlement, the people ought to be treated with honor and favor, seeing that this island has so much gold and such good spice-yielding lands. Friday, 11th of January. At midnight, the admiral left the Rio de Gracia with the land breeze and steered eastward until he came to a cape named Belprado, at a distance of 4 leagues. To the southeast is the mountain to which he gave the name of Monte de Plata, 8 leagues distant. Thence, from the Cape Belprado to east-southeast, is the point named Angel, 18 leagues distant, and from this point to the Monte de Plata there is a gulf with the most beautiful lands in the world, all high and fine lands which extend far inland. Beyond there is a range of high mountains running east and west, very grand and beautiful. At the foot of this mountain there is a very good port, with 14 fathoms in the entrance. The mountain is very high and beautiful, and all the country is well peopled. The admiral believed there must be fine rivers and much gold. At a distance of 4 leagues east-southeast of Cabo del Angel, there is a cape named Punta del Hierro, and on the same course, 4 more leagues, a point is reached named Punta Seca. Thence, 6 leagues further on, is Cabo Redondo, and further on Cabo Frances, where a large bay is formed, but there did not appear to be anchorage in it. A league further on is Cabo del Buen Tiempo, and thence, a good league south-southeast, is Cabo Tejado. Thence, to the south, another cape was sighted at a distance of about 15 leagues. Today, great progress was made, as wind and tide were favorable. The admiral did not venture to anchor for fear of the rocks, so he was hove to all night. Saturday, 12th of January. Towards dawn, the admiral filled and shaped a course to the east with a fresh wind, running 20 miles before daylight and in 2 hours afterwards 24 miles. Thence he saw land to the south and steered toward it, distant 48 miles. During the night, he must have run 28 miles north-northeast to keep the vessels out of danger. When he saw the land, he named one cape that he saw Cabo de Padre y Hijo, because at the east point there are 2 rocks, one larger than the other. Afterwards, at 2 leagues to the eastward, he saw a very fine bay between 2 grand mountains. He saw that it was a very large port with a very good approach. But as it was very early in the morning, and as the greater part of the time it was blowing from the east, and then they had a north-northwest breeze, he did not wish to delay any more. He continued his course to the east as far as a very high and beautiful cape, all of scarped rock, to which he gave the name of Cabo del Enamorado, which was 32 miles to the east of the port, named Puerto Sacro. On rounding the cape, another finer and loftier point came in sight, like Cape Saint Vincent in Portugal, 12 miles east of Cabo del Enamorado. As soon as he was abreast of the Cabo del Enamorado, the admiral saw that there was a great bay between this and the next point, 3 leagues across, and in the middle of it a small island. The depth is great at the entrance close to the land. He anchored here in 12 fathoms and sent the boat on shore for water and to see if intercourse could be opened with the natives, but they all fled. He also anchored to ascertain whether this was all one land with the island of Española, and to make sure that this was a gulf and not a channel forming another island. He remained astonished at the great size of Española. Sunday, 13th of January. The admiral did not leave the port because there was no land breeze with which to go out. He wished to shift to another better port because this was rather exposed. He also wanted to wait in that haven the conjunction of the sun and moon, which would take place on the 17th of this month, and the opposition of the moon with Jupiter and conjunction with Mercury, the sun being in opposition to Jupiter, which is the cause of high winds. He sent the boat on shore to a beautiful beach to obtain yams for food. They found some men with bows and arrows, with whom they stopped to speak, buying 2 bows and many arrows from them. They asked one of them to come on board the caravel and see the admiral, who says that he was very wanting in reverence, more so than any native he had yet seen. His face was all stained with charcoal, but in all parts there is the custom of painting the body different colors. He wore his hair very long, brought together and fastened behind and put into a small net of parrot's feathers. He was naked, like all the others. The admiral supposed that he belonged to the Caribs, who eat men, and that the gulf he had seen yesterday formed this part of the land into an island by itself. The admiral asked about the Caribs, and he pointed to the east, near at hand, which means that he saw the admiral yesterday before he entered the bay. The Indian said there was much gold to the east, pointing to the poop of the caravel, which was a good size, meaning that there were pieces as large. He called gold tuob, and did not understand Cayona, as they call it in the first part of the island that was visited, nor Noze, the name in San Salvador and the other islands. Copper or a base gold is called tuob, in Española. Of the island of Matinino, this Indian said that it was peopled by women without men, and that in it there was much tuob, which is gold or copper, and that it is more to the east of Carib. He also spoke of the island of Goanan, where there was much tuob. The admiral says that he had received notices of these islands from many persons, that in the other islands the natives were in great fear of the Caribs, called by some of them Canaba, but in Española, Carib. He thought they must be an audacious race, for they go to all these islands and eat the people they can capture. He understood a few words, and the Indians who were on board comprehended more, there being a difference in the languages owing to the great distance between the various islands. The admiral ordered that the Indians should be fed and given pieces of green and red cloth and glass beads, which they liked very much, and then sent on shore. He was told to bring gold if he had any, and it was believed that he had from some small things he brought with him. When the boat reached the shore, there were 55 men behind the trees, naked and with very long hair, as the women wear it in Castile. Behind the head, they wore plumes of feathers of parrots and other birds, and each man carried a bow. The Indian landed and signed to the others to put down their bows and arrows, and a piece of a staff, which is like, very heavy, carried instead of a sword. As soon as they came to the boat, the crew landed and began to buy the bows and arrows and other arms in accordance with an order of the admiral. Having sold 2 bows, they did not want to give more, but began to attack the Spaniards and to take hold of them. They were running back to pick up their bows and arrows where they had laid them aside, and took cords in their hands to bind the boat's crew. Seeing them rushing down and being prepared, for the admiral always warned them to be on their guard, the Spaniards attacked the Indians and gave one a slash with a knife in the buttocks, wounding another in the breast with an arrow. Seeing that they could gain little, although the Christians were only 7 and they numbered over 50, they fled so that none were left, throwing bows and arrows away. The Christians would have killed many if the pilot, who was in command, had not prevented them. The Spaniards presently returned to the caravel with the boat. The admiral regretted the affair for one reason, and was pleased for another. They would have fear of the Christians, and they were no doubt an ill-conditioned people, probably Caribs who eat men. But the admiral felt alarm lest they should do some harm to the 39 men left in the fortress and town of Navidad, in the event of their coming here in their boat. Even if they are not Caribs, they are a neighboring people with similar habits and fearless, unlike the other inhabitants of the island, who are timid and without arms. The admiral says all this, and adds that he would have liked to have captured some of them. He says that they lighted many smoke signals, as is the custom in this island of Española. Monday, 14th of January. This evening the admiral wished to find the houses of the Indians, and to capture some of them, believing them to be Caribs, for owing to the strong east and northeast winds and the heavy sea, he had remained during the day. Many Indians were seen on shore. The admiral therefore ordered the boat to be sent on shore, with the crew well armed. Presently the Indians came to the stern of the boat, including the man who had been on board the day before and had received presents from the admiral. With him there came a king, who had given to the said Indian some beads in token of safety and peace for the boat's crew. This king, with 3 of his followers, went on board the boat and came to the caravel. The admiral ordered them to be given biscuit and treacle to eat, and gave the chief a red cap, some beads, and a piece of red cloth. The others were also given pieces of cloth. The chief said that next day he would bring a mask made of gold, affirming that there was much here, and in Carib and Matinino. They afterwards went on shore well satisfied. The admiral here says that the caravels were making much water, which entered by the keel, and he complains of the caulkers at Palos, who caulked the vessels very badly and ran away when they saw that the admiral had detected the badness of their work and intended to oblige them to repair the defect. But notwithstanding that the caravels were making much water, he trusted in the favor and mercy of our Lord, for His High Majesty well knew how much controversy there was before the expedition could be dispatched from Castile, that no one was in the Admiral's favor save him alone who knew his heart, and after God came your highnesses, while all others were against him without any reason. He further says, and this has been the cause that the royal crown of your highnesses has not 100 millions of revenue, more than after I entered your service, which is 7 years ago in this very month, the 20th of January. The increase will take place from now onwards, for the Almighty God will remedy all things. These are his words. Tuesday, 15th of January. The Admiral now wished to depart, for there was nothing to be gained by further delay after these occurrences and the tumult with the Indians. Today he had heard that all the gold was in the district of the town of Navidad, belonging to their highnesses, and that in the island of Carib there was much copper, as well as in Matinino. The intercourse at Carib would, however, be difficult, because the natives are said to eat human flesh. Their island would be in sight from thence, and the Admiral determined to go there, as it was on the route, and thence to Matinino, which was said to be entirely peopled by women without men. He would thus see both islands, and might take some of the natives. The Admiral sent the boat on shore, but the king of that district had not come, for his village was distant. He, however, sent his crown of gold, as he had promised, and many other natives came with cotton and bread made from yams, all with their bows and arrows. After the bartering was finished, 4 youths came to the caravel. They appeared to the Admiral to give such a clear account of the islands to the eastward, on the same route as the Admiral would have to take, that he determined to take them to Castile with him. He says that they had no iron nor other metals, at least none was seen, but it was impossible to know much of the land in so short a time, owing to the difficulty with the language, which the Admiral could not understand except by guessing, nor could they know what was said to them in such a few days. The bows of these people are as large as those of France or England. The arrows are similar to the darts of the natives who have been met with previously, which are made of young canes, which grow very straight, and 1.5 yards or 2 yards in length. They point them with a piece of sharp wood, 1.5 spans long, and at the end some of them fix a fish's tooth, but most of them anoint it with an herb. They do not shoot as in other parts, but in a certain way which cannot do much harm. Here they have a great deal of fine and long cotton, and plenty of mastic. The bows appeared to be of yew, and there is gold and copper. There is also plenty of agi, which is their pepper, which is more valuable than pepper, and all the people eat nothing else, it being very wholesome. 50 caravels might be annually loaded with it from Española. The Admiral says that he found a great deal of weed in this bay, the same as was met with at sea when he came on this discovery. He therefore supposed that there were islands to the eastward in the direction of the position where he began to meet with it, for he considers it certain that this weed has its origin in shallow water near the land, and if this is the case, these Indies must be very near the Canary Islands. For this reason, he thought the distance must be less than 400 leagues. Wednesday, 16th of January. They got underway 3 hours before daylight and left the Gulf, which was named Golfo de las Flechas, with a land breeze. Afterwards there was a west wind, which was fair to go to the island of Carib on an east-northeast course. This was where the people live of whom all the natives of the other islands are so frightened, because they roam over the sea in canoes without number and eat the men they can capture. The Admiral steered the course indicated by one of the 4 Indians he took yesterday in the Puerto de las Flechas. After having sailed about 64 miles, the Indians made signs that the island was to the southeast. The Admiral ordered the sails to be trimmed for that course, but after having proceeded on it for 2 leagues, the wind freshened from a quarter, which was very favorable for the voyage to Spain. The Admiral had noticed that the crew were downhearted when he deviated from the direct route home, reflecting that both caravels were leaking badly, and that there was no help but in God. He therefore gave up the course leading to the islands and shaped a direct course for Spain east-northeast. He sailed on this course, making 48 miles, which is 12 leagues, by sunset. The Indians said that by that route they would fall in with the island of Matinino, peopled entirely by women without men, and the admiral wanted very much to take 5 or 6 of them to the sovereigns. But he doubted whether the Indians understood the route well, and he could not afford to delay by reason of the leaky condition of the caravels. He, however, believed the story, and that at certain seasons men came to them from the island of Carib, distant 10 or 12 leagues. If males were born, they were sent to the island of the men, and if females, they remained with their mothers. The admiral says that these 2 islands cannot have been more than 15 or 20 leagues to the southeast from where he altered course, the Indians not understanding how to point out the direction. After losing sight of the cape, which was named San Theramo, which was left 16 leagues to the west, they went for 12 leagues east-northeast. The weather was very fine. Thursday, 17th of January. The wind went down at sunset yesterday, the caravels having sailed 14 glasses, each a little less than half an hour, at 4 miles an hour, making 28 miles. Afterwards the wind freshened, and they ran all that watch, which was 10 glasses. Then another 6 until sunrise at 8 miles an hour, thus making altogether 84 miles, equal to 21 leagues, to the east-northeast, and until sunset 44 miles or 11 leagues to the east. Here a booby came to the caravel, and afterwards another. The admiral saw a great deal of gulf weed. Friday, 18th of January. During the night they steered east-southeast with little wind for 40 miles, equal to 10 leagues, and then 30 miles or 7.5 leagues until sunrise. All day they proceeded with little wind to east-northeast and northeast by east, more or less, her head being sometimes north and at others north-northeast. And, counting one with the other, they made 60 miles, or 15 leagues. There was little weed, but yesterday and today the sea appeared to be full of tunnies. The admiral believed that from there they must go to the tunny fisheries of the Duke of Conil and Cadiz. He also thought they were near some islands, because a frigate bird flew round the caravel, and afterwards went away to the south-southeast. He said that to the southeast of the island of Española were the islands of Carib, Matinino, and many others. Saturday, 19th of January. During the night they made good 56 miles north-northeast and 64 northeast by north. After sunrise they steered northeast with the wind fresh from southwest, and afterwards west-southwest, 84 miles, equal to 21 leagues. The sea was again full of small tunnies. There were boobies, frigate birds, and terns. Sunday, 20th of January. It was calm during the night with occasional slants of wind, and they only made 20 miles to the northeast. After sunrise they went 11 miles southeast and then 36 miles north-northeast, equal to 9 leagues. They saw an immense quantity of small tunnies, the air very soft and pleasant, like Seville in April or May, and the sea, for which God be given many thanks, always very smooth. Frigate birds, sandpipers, and other birds were seen. Monday, 21st of January. Yesterday, before sunset, they steered northeast by east, with the wind east at the rate of 8 miles an hour until midnight, equal to 56 miles. Afterwards, they steered north-northeast 8 miles an hour, so that they made 104 miles or 26 leagues during the night northeast by north. After sunrise, they steered north-northeast with the same wind, which at times veered to northeast, and they made good 88 miles in the 11 hours of daylight, or 21 leagues, except one that was lost by delay caused by closing with the Pinta to communicate. The air was colder, and it seemed to get colder as they went further north, and also that the nights grew longer owing to the narrowing of the sphere. Many boats and birds and terns were seen, as well as other birds, but not so many fish, perhaps owing to the water being colder. Much weed was seen. Tuesday, 22nd of January. Yesterday, after sunset, they steered north-northeast with an east wind. They made 8 miles an hour during 5 glasses and 3 before the watch began, making 8 glasses equal to 72 miles or 18 leagues. Afterwards, they went northeast by north for 6 glasses, which would be another 18 miles. Then, during 4 glasses of the second watch northeast at 6 miles an hour, or 3 leagues. From that time to sunset for 11 glasses east-northeast at 6 leagues an hour, equal to 7 leagues. Then east-northeast until 11 o'clock, 32 miles. Then the wind fell, and they made no more during that day. The Indians swam about. They saw boats and birds and much weed. Wednesday, 23rd of January. Tonight the wind was very changeable, but making the allowances applied by good sailors, they made 84 miles or 21 leagues northeast by north. Many times the Caravel Niña had to wait for the Pinta because she sailed badly when on a bowline, the mizzen being of little use owing to the weakness of the mast. He says that if her captain, that is Martin Alonso Pinzon, had taken the precaution to provide her with a good mast in the Indies, where there are so many and such excellent spars, instead of deserting his commander from motives of avarice, he would have done better. They saw many boats and birds and much weed. The heavens have been clouded over during these last days, but there has been no rain. The sea has been as smooth as a river, for which many thanks be given to God. After sunrise they went free and made 30 miles or 7.5 leagues northeast. During the rest of the day, east-northeast another 30 miles. Thursday, 24th of January. They made 44 miles or 11 leagues during the night, allowing for many changes in the wind, which was generally northeast. After sunrise until sunset, east, northeast 14 leagues. Friday, 25th of January. They steered during part of the night east-northeast for 13 glasses, making 9.5 leagues. Then north-northeast 6 miles. The wind fell, and during the day they only made 28 miles east-northeast, or 7 leagues. The sailors killed a tunny and a very large shark, which was very welcome, because they now had nothing but bread and wine, and some yams from the Indies. Saturday, 26th of January. This night they made 56 miles or 14 leagues east-southeast. After sunrise they steered east-southeast and sometimes southeast, making 40 miles up to 11 o'clock. Afterwards they went on another tack and then on a bowline, 24 miles or 6 leagues to the north until night. Sunday, 27th of January. Yesterday, after sunset, they steered northeast and northeast by north at the rate of 5 miles an hour, which in 13 hours would be 65 miles or 16.5 leagues. After sunrise, they steered northeast 24 miles or 6 leagues until noon, and from that time until sunset, 3 leagues east-northeast. Monday, 28th of January. All night they steered east-northeast 36 miles or 9 leagues. After sunrise until sunset, east-northeast 20 miles or 5 leagues. The weather was temperate and pleasant. They saw boats and birds, sandpipers, and much weed. Tuesday, the 29th of January. They steered east-northeast 39 miles or 9.5 leagues, and during the whole day 8 leagues. The air was very pleasant, like April in Castile. The sea smooth, and fish they called dorados came on board. Wednesday, 30th of January. all this night they made 6 leagues east-northeast, and in the day southeast by south 13.5 leagues. Boatswain birds, much weed, and many tunnies. Thursday, 31st of January. This night they steered northeast by north 30 miles, and afterwards northeast 35 miles or 16 leagues. From sunrise to night, east-northeast, 13.5 leagues. They saw boatswain birds and terns. Friday, 1st of February, they made 16.5 leagues east-northeast during the night and went on the same course during the day, 29.25 leagues. The sea very smooth, thanks be to God. Saturday, 2nd of February. They made 40 miles or 10 leagues east-northeast this night. In the daytime, with the same wind aft, they went 7 miles an hour, so that in 11 hours they had gone 77 miles or 9.25 leagues. The sea was very smooth, thanks be to God, and the air very soft. They saw the sea so covered with weed that if they had not known about it before, they would have been fearful of sunken rocks. They saw terns. Sunday, 3rd of February. This night, the wind being aft and the sea very smooth, thanks be to God, they made 29 leagues. The North Star appeared very high, as it does off Cape St. Vincent. The Admiral was unable to take the altitude, either with the astrolabe or with the quadrant, because the rolling caused by the waves prevented it. That day he steered his course east-northeast, going 10 miles an hour, so that in 11 hours he made 27 leagues. Monday, 4th of February. During the night, the course was northeast by east, going 12 miles an hour part of the time, and the rest 10 miles. Thus they made 130 miles, or 32 leagues and a half. The sky was very threatening and rainy, and it was rather cold, by which they knew that they had not yet reached the Azores. After sunrise, the course was altered to east. During the whole day they made 77 miles, or 19.25 leagues. Tuesday, 5th of February. This night they steered east and made 55 miles, or 13.5 leagues. In the day they were going 10 miles an hour, and in 11 hours made 110 miles, or 27.5 leagues. They saw sandpipers and some small sticks, a sign that they were near land. Wednesday, 6th of February. They steered east during the night, going at the rate of 11 miles an hour, so that in the 13 hours of the night they made 143 miles, or 35.25 leagues. They saw many birds. In the day they went 14 miles an hour, and made 154 miles, or 38.5 leagues, so that, including night and day, they made 74 leagues, more or less. Vicente Yanez said that they had left the island of Flores to the north and Madeira to the east. Roldan said that the island of Fayal, or San Gregorio, was to the north-northeast, and Puerto Santo to east. There was much weed. Thursday, 7th of February. This night they steered east, going 10 miles an hour, so that in 13 hours they made 130 miles, or 32.5 leagues. In the daytime, the rate was 8 miles an hour. In 11 hours, 88 miles, or 22 leagues. This morning, the Admiral found himself 65 leagues south of the island of Flores, and the pilot, Pedro Alonso, being further north, according to his reckoning, passed between Tercera and Santa Maria to the east, passing to windward of the island of Madeira, 12 leagues further north. The sailors saw a new kind of weed, of which there is plenty in the islands of the Azores. Friday, 8th of February. They went 3 miles an hour to the eastward for some time during the night, and afterwards east-southeast, going 12 miles an hour. From sunrise to noon they made 27 miles, and the same distance from noon till sunset, equal to 13 leagues south-southeast. Saturday, 9th of February. For part of this night, they went 3 leagues south-southeast, and afterwards south by east, then northeast 5 leagues until 10 o'clock in the forenoon, then 9 leagues east until dark. Sunday, 10th of February. From sunset, they steered east all night, making 130 miles, or 32.5 leagues. During the day, they went at the rate of 9 miles an hour, making 99 miles, or 24.5 leagues, in 11 hours. In the caravel of the Admiral, Vicente Yanez, and the 2 pilots, Sancho Ruiz and Pedro Alonso Niño, and Roldan, charted or plotted the route. They all made the position a good deal beyond the islands of the Azores to the east, and navigating to the north, none of them touched Santa Maria, which is the last of all the Azores. They made the position 5 leagues beyond it, and were in the vicinity of the islands of Madeira and Porto Santo. But the Admiral was very different from them in his reckoning, finding the position very much in rear of theirs. This night he found the island of Flores to the north, and to the east he made the direction to be towards Naif in Africa, passing to leeward of the island of Madeira to the north leagues, so that the pilots were nearer to Castile than the Admiral by 150 leagues. The Admiral says that with the grace of God, when they reach the land, they will find out whose reckoning was most correct. He also says that he went 263 leagues from the island of Hierro to the place where he first saw the Gulf weed. Monday, 11th of February. This night they went 12 miles an hour on their course, and during the day they ran 16.5 leagues. They saw many birds, from which they judged that land was near. Tuesday, 12th of February. They went 6 miles an hour on an east course during the night, altogether 73 miles, or 18¼ leagues. At this time they began to encounter bad weather with a heavy sea, and if the caravel had not been very well managed, she must have been lost. During the day they made 11 or 12 leagues with much difficulty and danger. Wednesday, 13th of February. From sunset until daylight there was great trouble with the wind and the high and tempestuous sea. There was lightning 3 times to the north-northeast, a sign of a great storm coming either from that quarter or its opposite. They were lying to most of the night, afterwards showing a little sail, and made 52 miles, which is 13 leagues. In the day the wind moderated a little, but it soon increased again. The sea was terrific, the waves crossing each other and straining the vessels. They made 55 miles more, equal to 13.5 leagues. Thursday, 14th of February. This night the wind increased and the waves were terrible, rising against each other and so shaking and straining the vessel that she could make no headway and was in danger of being stove in. They carried the mainsail very closely reefed so as just to give her steerage way, and proceeded thus for 3 hours, making 20 miles. Meanwhile the wind and sea increased, and seeing the great danger, the Admiral began to run before it, there being nothing else to be done. The caravel Pinta began to run before the wind at the same time, and Martin Alonso ran her out of sight, although the Admiral kept showing lanterns all night, and the other answered. It would seem that she could do no more, owing to the force of the tempest, and she was taken far from the route of the Admiral. He steered that night east-northeast, and made 54 miles, equal to 13 leagues. At sunrise the wind blew still harder, and the cross sea was terrific. They continued to show the closely reefed mainsail to enable her to rise from between the waves, or she would otherwise have been swamped. An east-northeast course was steered, and afterwards northeast by east for 6 hours, making 7.5 leagues. The Admiral ordered that a pilgrimage should be made to Our Lady of Guadalupe, carrying a candle of 6 pounds of weight in wax, and that all the crew should take an oath that the pilgrimage should be made by the man on whom the lot fell. As many chickpeas were got as there were persons on board, and on one a cross was cut with a knife. They were then put into a cap and shaken up. The first who put in his hand was the admiral, and he drew out the chickpea with a cross, so the lot fell on him, and he was bound to go on the pilgrimage and fulfill the vow. Another lot was drawn to go on pilgrimage to Our Lady of Loreto, which is in the March of Ancona, in the Papal territory, a house where Our Lady works many and great miracles. The lot fell on a sailor of the port of Santa Maria, named Pedro de Villa, and the admiral promised to pay his traveling expenses. Another pilgrimage was agreed upon to watch for one night in Santa Clara at Moguer, and have a mass said, for which they again used the chickpeas, including the one with a cross. The lot again fell on the admiral. After this, the admiral and all the crew made a vow that, on arriving at the first land, they would all go in procession, in their shirts, to say their prayers in a church dedicated to Our Lady. Besides these general vows made in common, each sailor made a special vow, for no one expected to escape, holding themselves for lost, owing to the fearful weather from which they were suffering. The want of ballast increased the danger of the ship, which had become light owing to the consumption of the provisions and water. On account of the favorable weather enjoyed among the islands, the admiral had omitted to make provision for this need, thinking that ballast might be taken on board at the island inhabited by women, which he had intended to visit. The only thing to do was to fill the barrels that had contained wine or fresh water with water from the sea, and this supplied a remedy. Here the admiral writes of the causes which made him fear that he would perish, and of others that gave him hope that God would work his salvation in order that such news as he was bringing to the sovereigns might not be lost. It seemed to him that the strong desire he felt to bring such great news, and to show that all he had said and offered to discover had turned out true, suggested the fear that he would not be able to do so, and that each stinging insect would be able to thwart and impede the work. He attributes this fear to his little faith, and to his want of confidence in divine providence. He was comforted, on the other hand, by the mercies of God in having vouchsafed him such a victory, in the discoveries he had made, and in that God had complied with all his desires in Castile, after much adversity and many misfortunes. As he had before put all his trust in God, who had heard him and granted all he sought, he ought now to believe that God would permit the completion of what had been begun, and ordain that he should be saved, especially as he had freed him on the voyage out, when he had still greater reason to fear, from the trouble caused by the sailors and people of his company, who all with one voice declared their intention to return, and protested that they would rise against him. But the eternal God gave him force and valor to withstand them all, and in many other marvelous ways had God shown his will in this voyage, besides those known to their highnesses. Thus he ought not to fear the present tempest, though his weakness and anxiety prevent him from giving tranquility to his mind. He says further that it gave him great sorrow to think of the two sons he left at their studies in Cordova, who would be left orphans without father or mother in a strange land, while the sovereigns would not know of the services he had performed in this voyage, nor would they receive the prosperous news which would move them to help the orphans. To remedy this, and that their highnesses might know how our Lord had granted a victory in all that could be desired respecting the Indies, and that they might understand that there were no storms in those parts, which may be known by the herbs and trees which grow even within the sea. Also that the sovereigns might still have information, even if he perished in the storm, he took a parchment and wrote on it as good an account as he could of all he had discovered, entreating anyone who might pick it up to deliver it to the sovereigns. He rolled this parchment up in waxed cloth, fastened it very securely, ordered a large wooden barrel to be brought, and put it inside, so that no one else knew what it was. They thought that it was some act of devotion, and so he ordered the barrel to be thrown into the sea. Afterwards, in the showers and squalls, the wind veered to the west, and they went before it, only with the foresail, in a very confused sea, for 5 hours. they made 2.5 leagues northeast. They had taken in the reefed mainsail for fear some wave of the sea should carry all away.